would like to congratulate our new ExCom team, who is led by DTM Nidesh.
This meeting is being recorded.
Okay, led by DTM Nidesh Ambuj as the president, and VP Education will be Toastmaster Kiran, who will be assisted by our current VP Education Toastmaster Arun Sriram, and VP PR is Toastmaster Sridhar, who will be assisted by our DTM Yaska, and we have Toastmaster Kalpesh as secretary, who will be assisted by Toastmaster Saurabh Ghosh, and VP membership, it's me, Toastmaster Dixon, and you all are my supporters to get the members. Then we have Sergeant Arms, Toastmaster Veena, who will be supported by Toastmaster Manchula. I will definitely will be the Toastmaster International website. So from July onwards, we will get into practice. We have any one-time guest today? First-time guest? Yeah. Okay. Please, can you please introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Girish. I'm a friend of Vinayakum, and so we stay in the same complex. So I reached out to him about Toastmasters. I was a member of the club a long time ago, maybe 2008, 2010. Lost touch after that, and so now really looking forward to getting back into the club.
Thank you. Welcome.
Yes. Okay, good morning everyone. Myself Narasimha. I am a Toastmaster Garden City Toastmaster Club member. But my house is very near to Puri. Exploring myself, because traveling every Friday from all the way from Whitefield to there is taking a lot of time. That's the reason I'm looking this I offered me and finally will be to come here. So that's it.
I'm also from Garden Field Toastmasters Club. I started my Toastmaster journey from Garden Field Toastmasters Club. Then I had to change my job, so I came here and got here. So welcome all. Since all are from Toastmasters community, I think no need to talk about Toastmasters. Since we have lots of interesting schedules coming up today. Last 5-6 months, I was keep on hearing a buzzing word, and I could see 3 type of people in my circle. One type of people, they were talking about this chat GPT or artificial intelligence is going to be a next level of revolution, and they are trying to grab the opportunity. And second type of people I know, they are so pessimistic. They are telling that it's the end of human era, that's it. And the third type of people, they are like, I think I can't survive, but maybe you people can survive. I don't know. Whenever we see the YouTube videos, everywhere you can hear the word ChatGPT, artificial intelligence, that thing, this thing, became a fail. Everywhere it says like, search, log in and subscribe. I will see you in the next video. So what's happening here? I'm always surprised where I am will be, and I don't know where I will be. So to talk about this thought-provoking theme of Chat GPT and you, we have a seasoned Toastmaster. Few weeks before, he came to me voluntarily and said, Dixon, I want to be more active in Toastmasters community. So give me any role, officer role, I will take it up. And I could see that enthusiasm, dedication, determination, positivity in his eyes. And obviously, he became the president of our club for next time. So let's welcome an avid reader, an eloquent speaker, an energetic Toastmaster, the person of the great personality, the Toastmaster of the day, DTM Nidesh Ambuj, to talk about the influence of ChatGPT.
With so many adjectives and adverbs, it really becomes to come on the stage. So recently I was hearing this guy, Yuval Noah Harari. I'm not sure how many of you have heard him. I personally find he's one of the great thinkers of this era. An amazing personality, and whenever he talks, you have to listen. So I was hearing him, and then he was narrating a very nice story, situation. He was saying that suppose there is an island, and then there is one human being, and there is one chimpanzee that is taken to that island and left there. Who do you think will survive? There is enough natural resources on that island, but who do you think will survive? A chimpanzee or a human being? Chimpanzee will survive because more powerful and they can always surpass human beings in all the physical powers and all. If there are 10 chimpanzees and 10 human beings, what will happen? We can talk about it. Still, chimpanzees can win because they can also work in a group, and 10 will be more powerful if they work. But if there are 100 chimpanzees and 100 human beings, definitely humans will win because they can work in a group and they can think ahead, they can plan for future. Why this is possible? If you go some few thousand years ago, 50,000 or 60,000 years ago, according to current scientific evidences, we were just like chimpanzees. We were not any better, or we were not doing anything extra apart from chimpanzees, monkeys, and all that. So what happened that helped us human beings or Homo sapiens to become so powerful that we are ruling this planet and other animals are still there?
Communication. Ability of speech.
So all this happened with a couple of inventions. The first was invention of fire. What happened with fire that when fire was invented, we started taking food which is cooked, and then our digestion required less time. And when our digestion required less time, less oxygen was needed for our gut, and more oxygen was supplied to our brain. So brain started evolving. When brain started although I personally do not agree that it is as big as fire, but still, if he's saying there should be something, there could be something. We'll explore more on that today when we'll go along with the theme. But before we go in details, I would like to explain the format of the meeting. Normally, a Toastmasters meeting has three parts. The first part is prepared speech part. We'll have that today with three speeches. The second part is table topics part. We'll have that also, impromptu talk, and we will see some nice impromptu speeches. And the third part, which we call, or I also feel, is the core of Toastmasters, and that is called evaluation session. And that is being run by a person called general evaluator. He will have his team, he will introduce that. But let me introduce the general evaluator of the day. He is the Toastmaster and managing director and founder of a construction management company. He is doing something for last 45 years. He is professor of service and has professor of practice and have already mentored or taught 10,000 plus students. Something that I aspire to. I want to become a teacher or professor or whatever we call it to pass on the knowledge to the next generation. And he is doing that for almost 35 years, already trained 10,000 plus students, I would say. So let's welcome him on the stage as GE of the day for explaining his work.
Thank you so much. How many of you follow World Championship speeches? Many of you. How many of you remember Darren Recroy's speech? Darren Recroy's speech. No? I'll tell you what was the gist of it. He said, falling is not wrong. Because when you fall and get up, you're one step ahead in your journey. That was the crux of his World Championship speech in 2000. Why I bring that here is failing is definitely sometimes an option because you get feedbacks. And here I am to give you small feedbacks for this entire session. and see how what can be developed more and what can be continued in next sessions. That's the general evaluation of the complete meeting here. As my role, I have three more people to evaluate the session. Timer, our counter, and the median. The timer today is being played by Toastmaster Manjula. Can you detail your role, please?
Hi everyone, good morning. Myself Nida. Today I'm playing timer role. So for table topic, for 1 minute I'm showing green card, and 1.5 I'm showing yellow card, and for 2 minutes I'm showing red card. And for evaluation, for 2 minutes green card, and 2.5 yellow, and 3 minutes red card. And for speech, 5 minutes green card I'm showing, and 6 minutes yellow card, and 7 minutes red card.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Manjula. Then we have the counter being played by Nagamahesh. Mahesh. Please explain your role.
Good morning, Toastmasters, fellow Toastmasters and guests. I am Toastmaster Nagamahesh. Today I am playing the role of R counter. So the purpose of R counter is to note words and sounds that are used as a crutch or pause filler by anyone who speaks today in this session. During the meeting, I will listen for overused words, including and, well, but, so, and you know. I will also listen for filler sounds, including I will also note when a speaker repeats a word or phrase, such as I or this means. At the end of the meeting, I will report the number of times that each speaker used these expressions. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Nagamahesh, for explaining your role. Then we have the grammarian being played by DTM Manoj Nair. Over to you.
Good morning, Toastmasters.
Good morning.
The word of the day I have chosen is etiquette. It means the customary code of polite behavior in society or among members of a particular profession or a group. A sample phrase for usage would be etiquette is essential to all.
As grammarian, we will look at the good usage of English and also let us know where we can improve in our English language. So we four of us with the evaluators will come back in the third section of the meeting, giving
So we will begin our journey, or we will try to understand more into this concept of ChatGPT. There is another software professional that I also follow, and then he is also very renowned, called Ken Beck, and his tweets are always interesting if you want to know more about what is happening in software industry. Recently, he had a tweet which is very interesting, and that also shows the power of ChatGPT and the impact on all of us. And then that was one of the reasons why I thought of this theme as ChatGPT and you, because it has impact on all of us. His tweet was that I was reluctant to use generative AI, and I know why I was reluctant. He says, now when I use it, I realize that 90% of my skills have a zero value now. But the 10% skills that I had is now 1,000 times more valuable. And that is really interesting. I find it really interesting. And the challenge for all of us is now understand that 10%. What is that 10% which will have 1,000 times more value, and amplify that, because that is how we are going to be relevant in future. We will delve more into this when we will go along. And let's start with our first part, that is prepared speech. Before I call on the first speaker, I would like to introduce the first evaluator. He had his icebreaker again, a DTM, but he had an icebreaker again last week. We got to know a lot of secrets about him, and I cannot tell all that because he had signed an NDA, and we had signed an NDA last week that we will not reveal more on that. So those who are interested and know all these secrets, not just about him, but about more members, they should visit this club more often, so that whatever we discussed, they know about it all, and they will not talk about it later. DTM Yaskaf as evaluator of the first speech.
First speaker today
giving the speech from leading in volunteer organizations from level 5 of effective coaching path. The purpose of this project is for the member to apply the skills needed to successfully lead in a volunteer organization. The purpose of this speech is a member to share some aspect of the experience serving as a leader in a volunteer organization. During the completion of the project, the member served in a leadership in a volunteer organization for a minimum of 6 months, received feedback from members on their leadership skills in a form of a 360-degree evaluation, developed a succession plan to aid in the transition of their leadership role. In this case, it is a well-organized speech about the experience, can be any format, humorous, informational, and this should not be a report of the project. Thank you.
So the speaker of our the first speech today, I know this person for a very long time, and when I got to know that she is a very strict teacher. And now when I requested the intro today, I realized that she is into profession of communication training. And there are very few people in life when you meet, you learn something. And this is one person, because whenever I meet her, be it here or in other clubs when I met, there is always something to learn. Topic for today, the title of the speech is Real Connection, given by Toastmaster Tanuja. Real Connection, Toastmaster Tanuja.
There are few journeys that require no roads, only a willing heart. I embarked on such a journey last year in September when I volunteered to lead the cultural committee of my apartment as the cultural secretary. Today, I stand before you to share my experiences in this journey as the cultural secretary of Godrej United Apartments. When I started, I had zero experience in this leadership role and zero budget, not a single money. Consolation was one person in my team as the associate cultural secretary. It was like going on a road trip without a car, without a map. But I had a willing heart and lot of enthusiasm to convert these zeros into hundreds. The Shara was the first cultural event that we had to organize. It was just around the corner. And my associate and I decided to give it our 100%. We converted this zero into thousands of rupees by asking for contributions and donations from our residents who were generous enough to oblige us. And we converted this zero, no experience, into lots of learnings by gaining insights from our failures, blunders even, and mistakes in dealing with the vendors for food, decoration, music, stalls, etc. Result, the Shara festival was a big hit. Residents had a blast in the Dandiya night that we arranged, and we debuted with a century. Sorry. Okay. This was a big shot in our arm, and we arranged several subsequent festivals like Diwali, Kannada Rajyotsav, Children's Day, New Year, Christmas, etc. Not every event was the same. Each event came with its own challenges. We had our share of failures too. For instance, on Christmas Day, we had planned to bring a Santa on a sleigh with a big bag of gifts for the children. And what happened? Heavy rainfall. Our plans got spoiled. Santa did come, not on a sleigh, walking from the gate to the venue, got drenched, had to carry the sack on his shoulders. He looked more like a wet cat than a jolly old fellow. We also had our share of difficulties. There were residents who complained and criticized us because they were not happy with the decisions and the choices we made. There were technical glitches and last-minute cancellations that disrupted our plans. We also faced frustration, exhaustion that made us question our own abilities and motives on this journey. Nevertheless, these hits and misses, these jolts and bumps in the journey taught me two lessons, important lessons. Number one came through this incident. On Republic Day, 26th of January, we decided to offer free breakfast to our residents. And the menu was jalebis, khasta kachoris with chutney. No sooner than I had posted this information, feeling happy that residents are going to be so thankful to me, I started receiving criticism. Who is going to have this unhealthy and oily breakfast in the morning? Danuja, please change this menu. We want salad, we want sandwiches, and we want juices. I wanted to react, but better sense prevailed over me, and I kept on. Soon, all the criticism died away like smoke in the wind. And you know what happened on 26th January? There was such a huge rush for this oily and unhealthy breakfast that we ran out of our stock of jalebi and khasta kachori. We had to order idli and sambar for those who were still left to have breakfast. Second lesson that I learned is the most beautiful lesson, and that also will fall under the 10% category of the skills that we need to explore. After 2 years of COVID regulations and restrictions on socializing, these cultural events saw an overwhelming response from our residents. Some participated by way of stage performances, some participated by way of help in making arrangements, and the rest by being an eager, encouraging, and enthusiastic audience. We built memories. We created these memories like precious jewels, and we connected like bridges. We spread sunshine of happiness. Our smiles were real. Our hugs were real. Our connections were real. And the lesson learned is build real connections. These virtual connections don't give us any happiness. If volunteering is an experience, it is the best experience to have because it teaches us selfless giving by way of only time and your effort. It teaches us humility and it builds real connections. Thank you.
I 100% agree with this statement. Build real connections and virtual connections are not so productive. I have my real example in this case. When I first joined Toastmasters way back in 2008, first 75 meetings I attended without a break. Physical meetings back to back without any break. And I am trying to do something similar here as well. From last 7 meetings I am attending without breaks, physical meetings back to back, and I hope I continue this journey without fail. With that, let's take our journey that we were talking about, ChatGPT. How many of you know this GPT? We are talking about GPT, and there are a lot of other tools also. What does this mean, GPT? Any idea? Yes, full form. Full form is to start with. Yes, that's correct. And then I got this inspiration from Toastmaster Trilok only when he gave that speech to talk more about this. Generative pre-trained transformer. And each one of these words are really important in this case. Generative, it means anything which you give as instruction, it can generate that, and that's why it is generative. Pre-trained means it has been trained. It's not human being that come up with their own logic, their own explanation. It is pre-trained with something. Initially it started with few thousands, then few lakhs, few crores, and now billions of data have been used for training. And transformer, there's a very nice story about this transformer also. And then most of the generative AI tools now use this transformer, which was invented by Google in 2017. And then the concept of transformers then started being used by a lot of other AI tools. I guess most of them use non-transformers. So it came from that Google invention. Generative pre-trained transformer, that's the full name, and that's the definition of that. We'll talk more on this, but let's move to our next speech, which will be evaluated by a person, which again is a very unique in its own sense. Because how many of people you know those who are part of two Toastmasters Club? You might be knowing some 4, 5, 10 people who are part of two Toastmasters Club. At one point of time, I was also part of two Toastmasters Club. But how many people you know those who are VP PR of both the clubs, and then president-elect of both the clubs? And that's unique about today's evaluator tool. Let's welcome Toastmaster Swaminathan as the evaluator tool for the speech.
Hello, fellow Toastmasters and my dear guests. A very good morning to one and all. Today, my target speaker is going to attempt Level 3, Project 1 in his pathway, Persuasive Influence. The project is Connect with Storytelling. The purpose of this project is for the member to practice using a story within a speech or giving a speech that is a story. The speech timing is 5 to 7 minutes. I wish the speaker all the best, and back to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you. When I entered the room, the first person I saw online was this speaker. He was very passionate, it looks like, and he was ready to give his speech. Sorry, I could not recollect your title, but you can start with that. Let's welcome Toastmaster Devashish for his speech. Over to you.
Once there was a boy who was studying in class 6 in one of the schools in London. It's 9 a.m. on a summer day, the fourth period of class 6. Bells are ringing and students are entering into classes. The female teacher was greeting students and said, "Morning, good morning, your son. Right, class, settle down. Today's assignment is a little bit different than what we usually do. Today, I have got a question that I want you to answer. And the question is, what do you want to be when you grow up? I want you to think about this very carefully. Answer it honestly. Don't worry about what other people are going to think, because nobody else is going to see this. I want you to think about why. John, one of the class students, has written, "I want to be happy." 25 minutes later, Madam said, "Right, guys, that's all we have time for today. Can I have your seat, please, as you are leaving? Thank you. Well done today. Good job. Thank you, Bhumi." As he noticed that John has written this, Madam said, "John, can I ask a question for you?" John said, "Yes, miss." Madam said, "John, I think you misunderstood the assignment." John said, "Miss, I think you misunderstood that. How many of you are asked who you want to become in your childhood? Please raise your hand if you feel that you are delayed in some dimension of your life. It may be regarding buying a house, getting married, or building financial wealth, etc. Okay. 18 years later, John was visiting the same school as the brand ambassador, attending one of the personal growth class in the same school he students. It's 11 a.m., first period of the class. Students have settled down, but they are still chattering with each other. He was sitting on the last bench of the class. The main teacher said, "All right, class, please look for a place. Good morning, dear students. Today's assembly is the start of a journey, the start of the rest of your lives. In 2 years' time, all of you will be finishing your A levels. In 3 years' time, you will be studying across the world, studying at the university of your choice. In 3 years' time, you will have started your careers. Many of you in this room will be working for the top institution across the world. You then may buy a house, you then may get married. In 10 years' time, your life will be set. In 15 years, you will be 30, and from then on your path, your life will be set. He raised the hand from the banquet and started walking towards the headmaster and said, "I'm sorry, Mr. Headmaster, but let me tell you why that approach may fail you. I know people who graduated at 21 but didn't get a job until they were 27. I know people who graduated late at 25 and found work immediately. I know people who never went to university but found their purpose. I know people who took gap years but found what they love at 18. I know people who found a job straight out of a college but making decent money but hate what they do. I know people who are children but are single. I know people who are married but had to wait 8 to 10 years to have children. I know people who love each other but they are not together. And I know people who in a relationship but love someone else. So my point is, everything in life happens according to our time, our plan. You may look at some of your friends and think that they are ahead of you. Maybe some of them you are still behind, but everything happens at their own space. They have their own time and clock, so do you. Be patient. At age 25, Mark Cuban was a bartender in Dallas. It took till 32 for J.K. Rowling to be published for Harry Potter after being rejected by 12 publishers. Jack Ma started Alibaba when he was 35. Otago launched Zara when he was 39. Virgin was started by Richard Branson when he was 34. Morgan Freeman got his big break at 52. Steve Carell got his big break only after 40 years old. Getting your degree after 25 is still an achievement. Not being married at 30 but still happy is beautiful. Starting a family after 35 is still possible. Buying a house after 40 is still great. Don't let anyone rush you with the timelines, because as Einstein says, not everything that counts can be counted, and not everything that counted truly counts. And this is the most important thing. I want you to be able to create a meaningful, purpose, fulfilling life for yourself and learn how to use that to make an impact and differences in the people's of others' lives. That will be true success. All the students stands up and started clapping their hands. He gave some autograph and took some photos with school teachers and students. He has inspired and inspiring billions of people across the world and helping others to make a life of purpose. He has spent 3 years of his life in India as a monk in Krishna consciousness. And that man is Jesse. Over to you.
Chat GPT. How many of you are aware about the statistics with IT industry? Especially answer of this question, that how many people are into web development in the complete IT professionals arena? Around 15 to 20% people are doing only web development, where the skill sets are HTML, JavaScript, CSS, and so on. Recently, I was attending a conference on generative AI. which also had the government backing, and we had our IT State Minister Rajiv Chandrasekhar also there. So there was a demonstration that I saw, especially with respect to this statistic that 50 to 20% of our IT workforce is only doing web development. So there was a person who just wrote on a piece of paper that I want to develop a jokes website, which will have multiple categories of joke. He just wrote in a piece of paper like any random paper. He opened a generative AI tool, scanned the image, and within 20 seconds, there was a website developed, jokes website developed, which had jokes of different categories. It had categorized all the UI, all the HTML, CSS, JavaScript, everything was done. And jokes website was ready in 20 seconds. Now imagine the future of this 50 to 20% of workforce. I can't calculate the numbers, but it must be more than 10 lakh or 15 lakh people who are working just on that. Something that can be done by generative AI in just 20 seconds. That's just one example. Then there are multiple such examples that we can see. And as President Dixon started with that, that you hear a lot of things on YouTube, a lot of things on your WhatsApp messages. This is just one example of that. And there are a lot of things that we need to understand. And as we also heard when Toastmasters Tanuja ended her speech that 10% skills. I believe earlier we used to hear or learn about 80-20 principle of Pareto. Now for Kate Blake, we'll learn this 90-20. That 90% is irrelevant, 10% is relevant. With that, let's move on to our third speech, which will be evaluated by a person who says that he is a software developer by day. With my experience, I know that developer also works at night, and they are more productive at night. But this statement was something that I remember. Developer by daytime. Let's welcome Toastmaster Trilok for the evaluation and explaining the evaluation.
So I'll be evaluating a level 1 P3 speech in the presentation mastery pathway. The purpose of this project is for having the member to learn or research or review a research technique and then present and then present a well-organized, well-researched topic, and he's going to be presenting a speech on the topic of this child. So this speech is also going to be between 5 to 7 minutes.
Now the speaker. I guess one of the first persons I interacted with in this club when I thought of joining, a very charming and very helpful personality that I know. But one thing when I got into it, I was very amazed to know that he believes in the 1% of theory. I don't know about it. I would expect that he would teach us someday, not in this speech probably, about the success mantra with this 1% of the story. With that, let me welcome, but before that, the topic, the title of the speech is We Don't Know What We Don't Know. We don't know what we don't know. Toastmaster Diction.
Online, you're able to see my screen, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. How many of you have taken the life insurance? At least one life insurance. Wow, everyone. So happy that I'm in the right place with the right people today. Because today my research topic was life insurance. Okay. 1 second, hold on. No, it's okay. It's okay. Yeah. So today my research topic was life insurance. Before going to my topic, I just want to give you a small introduction about these insurance policies to get the background information. So in life insurance, we have two kinds of insurance, just like one is a term plan, pure term plan. And second one is something like a traditional plan. In that traditional plan, we can see whole life plan, endowment plan, money back plan. I think you people must be heard about these names here and there. There you can see ULIP also, which I would like to come out from that plan because that's one of the worst product I ever in my life in the insurance sector. So this meme is more than enough for you to understand that. We'll talk about it in next speech. So apart from that plan, we have all this kind of all life endowment and money back comes under the traditional plan. So what is traditional plan? Anyone knows about it? Anyone? Any idea? Any inputs about the traditional plan? What exactly it is?
You pay premium for a certain period of time and then you get it back.
Exactly, correct. Yes, I hope you are not the insurance agent. That's why he will pick me out. Sure about it. Okay, now what happens is that in traditional plan, it's a mix of chicken sambar, I would call. It's a mix of investment and insurance. They will mix it together and spoil it. That is the traditional plan. Okay. In this traditional plan, the one only attractive part is that you will get the money back after the maturity period. Now, how it works, I will tell you, because this is the research work, and the inspiration for this research work by my mentor, my finance mentor, I would say, Mr. Brajesh. In 2018, I was too much committed to these traditional plans. So I was talking to him, saying, "Sir, Dixon, I have to tell you something here. In case of traditional plans, actually we don't know what we don't know about this kind of things." I was surprised. I asked him why, and he was trying to convince me like I am trying to convince you people. But I was not convinced. Then I started my research on this. I started to talk lots of insurance agents in Karnataka and Kerala. Eventually, I started fighting with them. And I started to verify lots of insurance policies of mine and my friends and my families. Then I came to know what he said is correct. For this, I would like to put in a simple example and I'll share with you about it. Suppose Dixon Simon, he's 30-year-old. Actually, it's not 30-year-old, but still for the purpose. And I want an insurance plan of 25 years for 1 crore. Now, you don't worry about the crores because even this principle works in thousands also in lakhs also. For getting a big perspective, I put this in crore. That's it. For that, I chose go with a traditional plan, which is an endowment plan, say for example. So I take an example of LIC. Again, companies remain same. If you own any company, you get the same benefit only. So LIC said, if you go for a traditional plan, you have to pay premium of 4.3 lakh rupees every year. Okay. Then they said after 25 years, you will get this much amount, 1.8 CR, including non-guarantee benefits. Looks so much attractive in such a way. But I checked in the mathematics on this. Then I understood. Okay, you are covered for 1 crore. That means if I die, my family will get a compensation of 1 crore. Fair enough. If I don't die, I will get a benefit of 1.8 crore. Again, fair enough. But what is the return I'm getting? The internal rate of return, just simple maths, like a bank return, just think about it, just a bank interest kind of thing. It's just 5.6%, hardly maximum 7%. If you're doing an investment and that investment gives you a return of less than 10%, it is not an investment at all. It's just some kind of saving where you are losing money because of some external factors. So that means in traditional plan, if you try to select a traditional plan, obviously you are not getting anything. So what is the solution here? I was talking to the people and I came to know there is a wonderful product. I'm not marketing that product here, first of all, for information, but just for information purpose only. That's it. There's a product known as term insurance plan. Now, what is term? This guy is talking about traditional plan here. Now he's talking about term plan. What is this? Correct, right? You must be thinking about it. Probably some of us. So anyone knows what is term plan? Any insurance finance? Oh, yes.
Basically, you pay your premium. If you die, you get something. If you don't die, you don't get anything.
Exactly. Just like a vehicle. Suppose for bike or for car, you take an insurance. If anything happens to your vehicle, definitely you will get compensation. If nothing happens, our premium will be gone. And that is the only insurance required for all the people in India. Literally, forget about tax benefit, that's a different story. So, how it was? In this case, as a Dixon, 30-year-old, I am planning to go for pure term plan. In that case, for 1 crore, the same company they are giving me for 9,000 rupees premium. Previously, it was 4 lakh rupees. I was surprised how it was. They told me that in this term plan, you will get only insurance. We are not investing anything. Okay, so how can I increase wealth in that case? Then it's very simple one. We have a 25 or 20 or 15 years, because if it is an insurance plan, definitely it will be long-term perspective. So you can use that extra money, just like in this calculation, you can use that extra money for the investment using the expert advice. If it is a long-term, as per the historical record, minimum 10% we can get a return, which is also matching with the investment theory. So that is the best part anyone can do in the case of insurance. And that's what I understood. And I started implementing that in my life, and it started getting success stories now. So what are the key takeaways here? As per my research work, I came to know 3 points. The first one, don't mix insurance and investment. It's just like chicken sambar. As I said, you are preparing a delicious sambar here, and you are putting chicken curry on that sambar. It's totally spoiled. Instead of that, keep sambar and chicken separately and enjoy the meal, as simple as that. And second point, always go for a pure term life insurance plan. Doesn't matter whether you get money or not as a compensation, because if you get a compensation, that you are dying. You are a dead body, that's all. So forget about it. Second point. And third point is very important. Still, we people are not convinced. You can go for the traditional plan, but the devil is in the detail. When you look into the thing, you will feel so attractive. But when you get into the details, you will understand. In reality, we are losing money. So we don't know what we don't know about these traditional plans. I would like to talk about this as per my research project. Thanks to everyone. Over to you.
Oh. Great knowledge sharing. That's what we get when we attend Toastmasters meeting. I was missing that for a long time. Thankfully, I'm back. And I recall the Johari video that we normally study in our management classes. The fourth quadrant is, I don't know what I am, and others also don't know what I am. Similar to that. And that is very difficult to explore, that Toastmaster Dixon explored. We are running out of time, so we'll try to be a little fast because we have to cover a few more things today, table topics and evaluation. So the next session we have is the second part of any Toastmasters meeting. Very interesting session, and then we all enjoy it. To conduct this session, we have a person who is into IT professional for 25 years and a long-time Toastmaster Vinayak for 8 years.
Actually, I wasn't feeling well, so I was actually planning to take this hybrid. But I thought then you guys might think that I put up a AI figure of myself with some voice engineering and stuff like that. So I thought I should come. And as somebody might have, and some of you guys might have already guessed, I've used ChatGPT to generate the topics for today. I tried Bard also. Bard is the Google product. I tried that also, but it was not that great. But ChatGPT, the first prompt I gave it was suggest some funny topics for table topics, and it gave me very sad, actually very sad. If you have a superpower, what would you do? It is things we have heard like 10 years ago and all those things. So I gave it another prompt saying, give me ridiculous topics. And it gave me some of it were related to religion, politics, so which we couldn't use. So I again gave it another prompt saying, give it to me in Bangalore context. And it has given me some very good ones. So I'm going to start with that. Volunteers, please. Unfortunately, I couldn't put everybody's profiles into this and have this generated through AI as to who is the best person for the first speaker. So I would request, otherwise I'll have to pick it up. So a human intervention will be required. Brave of you. Okay, the first ones. If traffic signals in Bangalore could speak, what would they complain about the most? If traffic signals in Bangalore could speak, what could they complain about the most? Toastmaster Narasimhan. Yeah.
So good morning, Toastmasters. Today topic is the Bangalore signals can speak to us what it can. Yeah, it's a very amazing topic. You know, in Bangalore, any road you go, we find just traffic. Our life, 70% life going lead to in traffic. That's the reason many people choose the place which is nearest to their office. Because to avoid this traffic, in case the rents are high also, they go to nearest to their office area to spend a lot of time with their family. But however, if the traffic signal keep talking to us, what is going to happen? Majorly, it will talk to us, those who are crossing the signals and making the accent. And many things going to happen. Finally, the traffic is not flow at all. We'll get stuck there only. That's how I visualize. Going forward, these traffic signals should be, make you maybe ChatGPT concept AI tool has to be implemented so that the moment if it is assessed occupancy signal, people are not available, it has to come on green light, so that traffic should move out fast. Thereby, we can get free time, we can overcome this challenge.
Second volunteer, please. Girish, would you like to volunteer?
Sure. Thank you.
If you had to create a humorous Bangalorean version of a famous Bollywood movie, what would it be called and who would star in it? If you were to create a humorous Bangalorean version of a famous Bollywood movie, what would it be called and who would star in it? Toastmaster Girish.
Thank you, Vinayam. This is a very challenging topic because I think most people in Bangalore don't like Hindi movies, which is including me also, as a South Indian, as a Bangalorean. The second part is it's two very opposite worlds, right? People who watch Bollywood movies don't watch Bangalorean movies or Kannada movies, and same in reverse. So I'm going to leverage my wife's knowledge of Bollywood movies because she's an expert, and I'm probably going to choose Sholay. Now, the first famous Hindi movie that came to my mind was Sholay. And then I started thinking about Kannada characters. The only Kannada characters I know now are politicians. JDS, Congress, and then since politics is not something we talk about, I had to choose something else. So, if I were to remake Sholay with Bangalorean characters, I would probably choose a traffic signal metaphor. Because nobody listens to traffic signals in Bangalore. It is optional. It's there, people go in the wrong direction, people crash into you even if you're going in the right direction. And so, to me, a traffic signal is like that Thakur in Sholay. It's very sad character driving all the time. And that's what I feel like when I look at traffic signals. I'm a cops also because they're just standing there taking pictures. So that's at least what I know so far.
Sholay is one of my all-time favorites. Thank you for giving that. Another volunteer? Yeah, please go. If you were to design a signature dish that perfectly captures the essence of Bengaluru, what would it be and what would you name it? If you were to design a signature dish that perfectly captures the essence of Bengaluru, what would it be and what would you name it? Toastmaster, yes, sir.
Thank you. So I got a dish in my picture. I said that, but I'm going to describe it step by step. It's like we start with Bangalore, right? Bangalore is a Karnataka place where all Kannadigas are there. So moving 50 years back, only Kannadigas. It's like put water, right? And then slowly, Telugu and Tamilians introduced that. As moving forward, it became army place, like all army people started coming. So put some algos into it, right? And then started the 2008, like the IT bubble, where people all over India started. Whatever leftover subjects in your fridge. And spicing on the cake, because foreign companies came into picture, we had all the spices. So what you get is khichdi. It's become a whole khichdi, because here you walk in a direction, you will hear Hindi, you will hear Telugu, you will hear Bengali, you will hear Tamil, you will hear Kerala, and in a single sentence, sometimes all the 5 languages. So that's what I would say Bangalore is about. A perfect khichdi. Somehow the city runs. I still don't know how the city runs. There are potholes, there are issues of traffic, everything is there, but weather must there. Oh dear.
Italy is your perfect food for you when you're ill as well. So I think that's a perfect metaphor. I think we're running out of time, so I will end it over here. Take it to the.
Excellent. Okay, now let's go back to the story we started with, human evolution. It is very important, invention of fire. The reason we explored that our brains got evolved, and that's why we grew this planet. And one of the portion of the brain, and that's a separate talk, we'll talk some other day, but one of the portion of the brain that we use mostly to become so advanced is called precortex, the frontal cortex brain, which is imaginary in nature. It can predict futures and it can go in future and think about what will happen in future and plan for that. And this generative AI is powerful also because it can go in future and see. If you want to ask questions and predict what will happen in future, it can give you a lot of answers. And that is really powerful. Not just with technical things, but also a lot of social and a lot of this traffic and whatever you can think of, it can tell you the prediction. How accurate that would be, we don't know right now. It might need more time to evolve, but it can give you prediction, and that's the power of it. Now we were talking about this 10% skills, what we need and how it can make us more powerful. And one of the ways we can get more powerful using this tool is the example we saw right now. Before I go to the example, I'll also narrate one story that internet was one of the best inventions that we saw. But what happened with internet? Who became powerful with internet? There are a lot of people who use internet to become powerful, to become wealthy, to become kind of a powerful personality in the world. One of those persons is Jeff Bezos, who used internet to launch his Amazon and sell products. There were a lot of jobs earlier also, but he became more powerful by using internet. Similarly, if we all can start exploring generative AI, not just one tool, but any other tool that we can come across, and start using it to benefit what we are doing in our real life, I believe that will be the best way to start. And I said that one example we saw right now, that Toastmaster Binayak used it to get the TTM topics. That's the best example, because you are using it for our own purpose. And that's the best thing that we can do right now, and see how it explores going forward. With that, let's move on to our last session of this meeting, and that would be run by our G, Toastmaster Nagesh, for your session.
Let's start with the evaluation of the prepared speeches. We had first speaker being evaluated by DTM Yesta. Over to you for the evaluation.
So, Toastmaster Tanuja, a nice narrative on the volunteer experience, and that in an apartment, the culture, in a place where a lot of cultures will be there. Becoming a cultural secretary is not an easy task. So kudos that whatever the term, how long you have served. Now coming to the speech part, what really went well in your speech? I like the opening with a quote. Said volunteering is for one with a willing heart. And that summarizes the essence of a volunteer in any volunteer organization, because you're not getting paid. Sometimes you pay. And then what you get is the experience and the joy of serving everyone. And that experience of ensuring that whatever you are committed for, statement. So that statement is really, really good of opening statement. And I also love the way you have put in your entire speech that nice phrases. Some of them I really liked. More like a wet cat than a jolly old fellow, right? You showed use the cue card very nicely to show 001 and then showed 1000 to 100, right? Sunshine of happiness, smoking. So these are very good terms. We also use the use of 3 in many places. That kind of captures the audience when you move forward. I also like the way you added 3 flavors into your speech: your success stories, your failures, and also what challenges you faced. These are the important parts of a leader, right? Not everyone is successful, not everyone is a failure. So what you basically made the entire flavor proper. That's something I really like. And also that I'll come to that part later. Now what you can improve on. The first thing I'll talk about is the body language. Then body language, what I would say is when we are talking to an audience who are varied, you are trying to cover all of them very often. So what happened out of that is you are moving very often just your head like this. It kind of felt distracting. Instead, you can sit with an audience, like look into them one by one, then slowly move to other direction and move. Or else use the space, left and right. So that's one suggestion that I have. Second suggestion is on the speech structure. You talked about your term, but another 2 things that were asked in the project is about what is the evaluation that you got and what is the succession plan. Like if you are the next secretary, if somebody next secretary, how are you going to pass the knowledge? So these 2 things were there in the speech, would have been really the addition on the leadership factor. What is really crux? The 2 lessons that you shared. Humility is needed in the real connection. And I love the stories, the way you narrated. So overall, a great speech on the volunteer experience that you have given. I assume that you're going to complete the level 5. All the best for that. And many, many speeches moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jessica. I remember your photograph like Bahubali carrying the boxes during coordination. The t-shirt you're wearing, that's volunteering. That's all about giving. And it came out so very clearly in the speaker's content. What I more liked about your speech was the humor part of it. We all may not be humorous, but we have humor in our life. And when we are giving an experience here with the audience, the speaker was very well put humor into the speech. We have humor in everyday life. That I liked it very well. One point of suggestion for you, if I may. Your title was Real Connections, but I think that was something which came very late in your speech. I was waiting, where is that going to be imparted in your speech? A little late down, maybe around 5.5 minutes it came. But if you had said that this was the problem that I was facing, but it really came out later on, it would have been very nice of your speech. And just one point of suggestion over there. Thank you for evaluating that speech. Let's move on to the speaker number 2, research and presenting. That was third, right? Storytelling. Swaminathan, online, over to you. Evaluating speaker online, Devashish Pai.
Thank you, General Evaluator. What could be more inspiring than a school time incident turning into a life-changing story? Thank you, Toastmaster Devashish, for coming up with this wonderful story. Here are the top 3 things I loved from your storytelling. First thing I would say, your context setting. You initially started from a classroom incident, then how about what after years what happened? And you were finally keeping that suspense, who's that man? You slowly build up that and kept us in a high point, and finally you revealed. So that is the first thing I like from your speech. Second, your body language and facial expressions. Especially you took the papers and while distributing the assignments, and also when you asked questions after question, I could see the pressure and the anger in your face. So that is the second thing I liked from your speech. Third thing, you beautifully narrated the message you wanted to convey. Everything happens in life at their own pace. You gave a lot of wonderful examples, Jack Ma and other inspiring leaders. So giving examples also is a very good part of storytelling. So these 3 things I really like from your story. And also kudos for standing and delivering your speech, because through online, I don't see many people doing that. Kudos to that. And the recommendations I want to give is the first thing, the pause and pace. When you started, I couldn't get the context fully that you are setting up a classroom incident. So you could have paused and narrated at a little lower pace. Second thing, the usage of space you had. When you had a conversation between the student and the teacher, it was so quick that I couldn't interpret what was happening. Just you told you misunderstood the assignment, you misunderstood the assignment. That was so quick. And it could have been more cleaner if you kept the two characters little far. Third thing is, for storytelling, vivid descriptions and details add more credibility to the story. I couldn't find that more on your speech. If you could have added more details about the classroom environment and everything, it would have added a strong point to your story. So these are the recommendations I have. Overall, the takeaway from your speech is everything happens in life at their own pace, and lead a meaningful and purposeful life and create impact on others. This is the takeaway. Overall, in summary, your storytelling skills wise, body language, facial expressions were very good, and the message, and you set the context to a high point. These were your strengths. And to improve more, the pause and pace and vivid descriptions to your story will improve your story very well. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you so much for that evaluation. You mentioned two very important words, pressure and anxiety. We all had in this room the pressure and anxiety. The connection went off. We couldn't hear the speech fully, Toastmasters Devashish. But from the evaluator, what we realized is we missed an amazing speech today. From this room, we couldn't hear much of your speech. Coming to evaluator, I have one suggestion for you. When you said, I'm summarizing, you started summarizing. When you saw the yellow card, you went on giving the recommendation a little more. So when you have summarized, please stop there. Need not necessarily be that you have to go till red card. If you have done your job well within green or yellow, it's all right. Okay. Thank you so much. Give both of them a big round of applause. Okay, evaluator number 3, Toastmaster Trilok, evaluating speaker number 3. Oh,
one of the key goals for this project is to increase the audience understanding. And I think one of the best ways to do that is to grow curiosity amongst them. And I think Toastmaster Dixon has done a fabulous job in doing that, especially for two reasons. First, the topic itself. It's a topic that everybody relates to and wants to understand better. And second, his approach to it. He started with a question. In fact, not just one question, there were multiple questions. And he was improvising continuously so that he was not repeating himself and only giving the information that was necessary for the audience, assuming that they already know some things about it. So that was really good. The second thing that I really liked about his speech was that he was giving examples. And these examples were not examples that were research. I mean, of course, there are research, but not just research, but his personal examples. So that helps building trust, a connect with the users, because he's giving examples, his own success stories, and that we know this person, we trust this person. So that helps us in adopting what he's suggesting and recommending us. The third thing that I really liked was he had opinions and well evidenced opinions. For example, if I got it wrong, right? The term insurance is the insurance that is needed by the people of India. And that is a very great recommendation and a strong opinion with backed by facts, and it is useful for all of us. The next thing, if I had to take back one particular thing, and even perhaps I'll forget this speech, perhaps 10 years down the line, I might not remember Toastmaster Dixon every day, but one thing that I'll remember is don't mix sambar and chicken. I think that is the crux to it. And what better way of explaining and telling that insurance and investment should not be put together. he had presented infographics in his slides. One thing that I could have been done slightly better is that this calculator that was present in the, was a little complicated for me to understand. So if you could have stayed a bit on the calculator to help me understand, or could have translated in a format in terms of story, that would have been better for me to understand. And the other thing is that I felt a couple of transitions were very fast. I did not understand a lot of technical terms. Some people are very familiar, so perhaps you could break it down, bring it to a common ground for everybody. Otherwise, a really nicely executed speech, and it was very informative to us, and all of us, everybody was nodding with this. Thank you for that.
Thank you so much for that evaluation. I really like that way you evaluated. How old are you in Toastmasters? Because I asked that purposely because we had met before you became the Toastmaster. I love the way you have picked up nuances of doing an evaluation. Those to you. You checked all the boxes for being an evaluator and giving an evaluation. Wonderfully done. For the speaker, what you missed was data was there, sources were clearly detailed. It was an education session, well given. Was there really an action that was driven home for all of us to take back? I think you have to emphasize on that very clearly. Maybe take some time to emphasize why that action is important for all of us. You just said in one sentence, term insurance is, but detail a little more, drive home that conclusion. That was one thing that I thought. I would challenge you. You are a very good speaker. You have a good rhythm. You have a good tone of voice. Your choice of words are very good. You're a very good speaker overall. Can you do the same presentation with our PPT? Not all research in presenting material has to be presented with a presentation software. Can you do it again? It's a challenge for you. You may take it or leave it. In my personal opinion, you can do it. Give both of them a big round. Let me evaluate the whole session in a whole. We'll start with the timers report. What do you for the timing?
First prepared speeches, Tamila took 6 minutes 53 seconds, and second speaker Debashish Paul took 6 minutes and 31 seconds, and speaker third Dixon took 7 minutes 35 seconds, and table topics Narasimha took 1 minute 20 seconds, and Girish took 1 minute 38 seconds, Aska took 1 minute 27. And coming to the evaluation part, DTM Yaska took 3 minutes, and Swaminath took 2 minutes 44 seconds, and Trilok Jain took 2 minutes 54 seconds.
Let me have the account report from Naga. Naga Mahesh.
Yes. Hope I am audible.
Yes.
So yeah, it's a good that many of us not used many filler sounds, but as to do justice to my role, I noted few things. I hope everyone can see my screen. So Toastmaster Dixon used so twice, DTM Nitesh used R twice, so thrice, and Toastmaster Vinayak used R twice, and Toastmaster Mr. Nagesh Murthy used R 4 times and but once, and DTM Yaska used once and so once, and Toastmaster Trilok Jain used R 6 times. So this is the overall report which I noted today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I'm the only one in the room who has used but once. Nobody else. And according to the research, but is the one word which is used most often in the world. We use nevertheless. Wonderfully replaced. There are many words which can be replaced and but can be completely erased. Thank you so much for that. Now we have the remaining report from DTM.
Talking Toastmasters.
Let me go through my grammarian report. So today,
First thing which I would say is, though it was observed, it was never used. The word of the day. To start off, we have in order of how I heard everybody, Toastmaster Manjunath, who started off by saying myself Manjunath. I am Manjunath. Right? That's a correction. This unfortunately is a typical Indian habit, which we all do. It's a very difficult habit to get out of. So I would ask everybody to consciously try avoiding this. Then we have TTM Nitesh, who was our TMOD for the day. One miss and one hit is how I put it. And I'll give the same thing to Tanuja also. The miss was, you said speaker of our first speech. And the hit was, you use the word pre-cortex or parietal cortex. I forgot the terms. Okay, so the word cortex is a section of our brain where processing happens. So as I said, one hit and one miss. Likewise, Toastmaster Tanuja, one miss and one hit. The miss was, you used debuted. Debuted. It's French. Debuted. In the start of his speech.
Okay, I got it.
Okay, and the hit was, you use a phrase called wet cat. It's a actually very old, what do you say, pre-50s kind of English language. If anybody's read P.G. Wodehouse, you will see this kind of phrase happening there. It's a very long time that anybody's used that phrase for the day. Moving on, we had Toastmaster Debashish. You mentioned pupil, or I heard it wrong anyway. It sounded as pupil to me, whereas you meant people. Am I right or wrong?
Yes.
Okay, so that is something which has to be fixed, because the words are two different words. So obviously, if somebody hears it, then the meaning of the word. Now, this again is a problem with our Indian accents, which is very difficult to control and get hard out of, right? And Toastmaster Dixon, again, a simple grammatical error. You mentioned research topic was life insurance, is life insurance, right? And another place you said so in your sentence start, which I haven't heard you use in a very long time, so I will hold you responsible why you did it. Right? Unfortunately for me, none of the evaluators gave me any score. That's not fair. Okay. So do the table topics master and the speakers of the table topics. Even they also refuse to give me any point to catch on to. With that, I will conclude my report. Thank you. So Toastmasters, what was the word of the day? Sometimes. Please go home after that. Table topic, I'll come to TMOD a little later. Table topic master, we had about 3 topics today. I have a little suggestion, if you could make the topics a little shorter, maybe one more person could have spoken. That's the only thing that I wanted to talk about. Those topics were so very relatable. I think I was also sitting and thinking that, what is it that I have to speak? And I had my content. The topics were very relatable, very easy to comprehend, but they were a little longer. 8 to 10 words, not more than 8 words is I would prefer. Thank you so much for giving those topics. They were fun topics also. The responses were making us laugh. Thank you. Coming to TMOD, I want the house to evaluate the TMOD. Before that, I would say you had your topic, details of your topic divided in the entire meeting. I've seen a lot of TMOD give all the GAN in the beginning, and afterwards they don't have anything on the theme of the meeting, but you divided it in 3 sections and gave us bits of the ChatGPT, and we very well done over there. Now, preparation. How do you think his preparation was? 1 to 10. I also had 10 here. Relatability. 10. Easy to understand, remember what all he said. Everybody has their numbers. For me, it was 8. Were you brief in explaining what you were doing? I had 7 on 10 over there. Ease of understanding, 9 out of 10. You did a wonderful job in whatever you did, including calling the people here, giving them the intro and calling them here. 10 out of 10. Especially you had 10%, 20%, Pareto principle, Zuari window, you brought in so many things. That was not part of your profession. You thought on the feet here and you gave it based on what everybody spoke. Wonderfully done. Give him a big round of applause. Did I leave anybody? No. Right? I'm done. Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure being here as your general evaluator. Before I leave, I have 2 things to say. All of you, it's a hybrid meeting. So there are people on the Zoom not attending offline. I think they need a bit round of applause. What? Everybody have to address them as well. Even if you're a speaker, keep your speeches in mind such a way that you address them also in your speeches or evaluate or in the evaluation or in whatever you speak, including me. So feedback for me also. Hybrid setup are little difficult to manage. We saw that today. Hybrid setup are even more difficult when we have audience who feel left out. We should include them also. With that, back to you. Thank you.
We're running out of time, no more stories. It's a topic that we can talk on years together. I've created a WhatsApp group for interested people, those who want to explore more, those who are interested, just ping me and we'll continue discussion. Back to you, President Nikshan.
What a great session. Today I just sent the link for voting, so everyone can vote. I think we vote.
I think
Anything, please, is fine. So, again, I said so sorry for that. Girish, can you please give your feedback in meantime? Yeah. Feedback about the meeting, about the suggestions. And fine.
Great. I know this was my first visit to a Indian Toastmasters group. So it was very nice to see the commonalities and the differences. Difference, of course, in the West is time. India, I know we started a little bit late, but I thought the whole group was very welcoming. I had a hard time figuring out if there were any other guests because everybody sort of knew each other, talking to each other very nicely. Great to see that cohesion and that relationship with everybody, whether they're remote or whether they're in person. And I agree with Nagesh, especially in today's business environments, working with remote is given. So it's, I think, really important that we all function as one group and not as 2 separate groups. So really happy to see that.
Thank you.
So being first time attending here, really, I enjoyed the entire session. Compared to my earlier sessions with the Garden City Toastmaster, here it is a little bit different. I can say that maybe my suggestion, I don't know exactly whether we can possible or not. You can place a whiteboard with the board of the day, who are the evaluators, who are the speakers, so that it will give the more visibility to all the people while voting. Also, they can understand in details. That's the one suggestion I want to give. But also 1 hour 15 minutes, I don't think that is sufficient. If they're having 3 speeches and a table with general evaluation, many things. Maybe timing, you can look into that one, but it's not constrained that 1 hour 15 minutes to have to complete the entire session. It can extend, provided with all the support of the people. Otherwise, it is excellent session. I really enjoyed, thoroughly enjoyed. Thanks to Vixen.
Thank you. We have a guest in online, Suman Day. Can you please come up and introduce yourself and give your feedback if possible? Suman, can you hear us? No problem. So, okay, fine. Before the announcing the result, so next week is our last meeting of the term. It's going to be, so I would suggest everyone please be here in the meeting room itself if possible. We are arranging some kind of sessions and all, probably for the last day. With that note, I will announce the result. Best role taker, yeah, DTM Nidesh Amboj. Best speaker, Toastmaster Tanisha. Best evaluator is Toastmaster Trilok Chain. And best table topic speaker is Jas Girish. So that's it from our end. Today we have a cake cutting session because today is our milestone meeting of 126. So after this session, we'll go to the first floor, right? So I invite everyone to be there in the first floor and we can have a small cake cutting session and we can. Yeah, we'll take care of it. Yes, photo.
Yeah.
Please come. Nagesh, can you please take the photo?
No issues, Suman, it's fine. Please do text on the chat.
Oh.
If texting is.
Okay, okay, great.
I think why don't some people sit here?
Because we can.
We can.
Okay.
Now?
Yeah.
One second, I missed my layout. This is just once. Give me one more second. Yeah, ready?
Yes.
Please smile.
Yeah, done.
Thank you.
Everyone is not there, lots of cakes.
Punishment for not coming.
Thank you, guys. Let's move to the first floor. There's a cafeteria there.
Oh, okay. No, it's okay. No. I can continue.